Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And this video I've got 3 replays for you in the Tier 9 Soviet tech tree light tank, the T-54 LTWT. So the T-54 lightweight in a sense is a decent light tank. Before I get into the replays, you can see the equipment are on the top right hand screen, which is camo net optics and advanced gun lane drive. You could swap that out for vert stabs if you wanted to. And on the perks, I've got born leader, rapid reload, 6th sense, steady aim, snapshot, camouflage expertise, muffled shot, green thumb, and run and gun. So predominant camouflage setup, usual. The usual setup I like to run on majority of my light tanks, to be honest, if not all. And the first map we are on Karelia. So come up to this position to spot up the cross. You can see we've already lit up one heavy tank that's crossing the B line there, and I'm just hovering around just to see if I can spot up any more. So T-54 lightweight then for me is a great introduction to the T-100. In a sense, I would say it's just a little bit of a beefier T-100. Both tanks have got a similar silhouette, although I'd say the T-100 is a lot more of it's got a lot more lower silhouette, a lot more flat it would seem. And for me as well, I think, I guess I would play sort of the T-54 lightweight as much as an active spotter, as also similar to like a medium tank, getting on the flanks as soon as the spotting's done, and just being a bit of a nuisance to tanks in the side. But I mean, I've got great camo on my setup. At 267 meters of steel concealment, which is quite good. Excellent mobility on this tank. 69 kilometers top forward speed with 23 kilometers reverse. It's got a very good power to weight ratio as well, so you can hit those top speeds pretty quickly, which is nice. And its view range isn't too bad. It's okay. And it's got very good DPM with reload at 5.5 seconds and accuracy at 0.34 on the move at 165 as well, and it's got an aim time of 1.78 seconds. Average penetration on the shell rounds, I think, with 250 damage per shot. You've got APCR on your standard and your premium rounds. I've opted for the premium because obviously I want a bit more penetration, which is at 235. So there's not much difference between penetration on your standard and your premium rounds, like 208 on your standard, 235 on your premium. So only a slender difference, but the penetration values in my opinion don't seem that great. So that's why I've just opted for full premium loadout, so I can get that extra penetration. And so the downside of this tank really is that 5 degrees of gun depression really isn't great, but it's something that you can get around. Like I say, this for me is apart from sort of a good active light tank, it's a good flanking tank as well. So you're gonna make it work. You're gonna get into positions where you're not going to be spotted most of the time. I mean, I'm not doing the greatest of jobs, but to be fair, this game is massively running away from us, so we're just trying to get as much damage out as possible, just as we're lining up a shot on this artillery, who seems to have given up the ghost on this one. And yeah, we've not had a bad game, to be fair. It's gone really quick, but we have picked up 3.2k assist with 1800 damage, and we're just about to close in on this tier 10 tank destroyer here. And we're just swinging around just to get the better of him. We're going to squeeze a shot into the rear. Unfortunately, we don't pen, we just do a critical hit on his damage. Luckily, he fumbles the shot, so we take the time to aim the shot there. And he does get taken up by a tier 8 medium tank, but if we just maybe aimed a little bit better, we could possibly have got a kill shot on that. We snap a shot in there on the last remaining tier 10, which I think is an E-100. So yeah, we just squeezed a shot into the rear, just trying to pick up as much damage as possible before this game comes to an end. And there we go, he gets finished off by our friendly Polish heavy tank. And that is it for replay number 1. So moving on to the results screen then, we come top of the board with just the 1 kill with 2.8k damage and 3.2k assist. like I say, a very fast-paced game there, and we picked up the first class medal, and yeah. So what we'll do now is we will move on to the second replay and see how we got on in that game. So here we are then, moving on to the second replay with Safe Haven. And yeah, a bit of a mixed bag really for this tank. Not too bad, I can think of worse maps really to be on. So we're going to make our initial play up to the right hand side, out on the hills there, because, you know, this is where we can sort of spot up targets, we can spot the cross, and spot tanks on the other side coming up the hill or moving into the port area of the map. We can also work the flanks here, I think, so that's precisely what I'm going to do here. You can see I'm in a platoon. I'm not entirely sure who I'm actually platooned up with, but you know, we've got someone for company, and they're going to come up and give us some support. So we're going to move on to this ridge here, but we're just taking a look on the left hand side. We've not spotted anybody up at this moment in time ahead of us, but then we get spotted, we get out spotted by something which I'm not entirely sure what has out spotted us. But we need to obviously be cautious because there is something at the back there. And then a light tank appears, an RU-251. I'm not sure, no, it definitely wasn't him that has out spotted us, because he is actually behind a building, unless he was sort of, he may well have been him, I'm not too sure, but I'm biding my time, just waiting. Now I'm pushed out, decided I'm going to make a move. I need to sort of push, close the distance between these tanks and start doing some spots. And it might well have been that RU-251 that lit us up, not entirely sure, but it doesn't matter, we've got there and he's getting punished. Now we see a tank on the right hand side, we're trying to squeeze a shot in, we do actually manage to get a shot in there, but we take a shot in the side in return, and this is the problem with this position, we're kind of exposed to that side, but we lose our spot. We're just weaving backwards and forwards, trying to avoid the shots from this autoloader. Now he's on reload, so we sneak a shot in return. So, okay, it's a 2-for-1 deal, and I'll take that trade. So, yeah, that's not too bad. But we're just going to sort of move back to this position now and spot up the tanks on this ridge. This is a tier 10 game, so you know, do have to be careful that we don't take any shots from some hard hitting heavy tanks that are in the port area. Also need to bear in mind that we don't get shot by any TDs that could possibly be sitting at the back here, and then we go, we've just let another tank. We've also taken a deflection from someone. You can see we're racking up the assist here. We've got up to 3.7k assist already. We've only done 700 damage. We've managed to block 750, so we've blocked a TD round or a heavy tank round from somewhere. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think that's a combined damage that we bounced. That is definitely a shot that we bounced from something, and I'm gonna have a stab that it's a TD of some sort with the 750 alpha. That's kind of my guess anyway. But we're just playing patient here. It's a bit of a patient build-up game because, you know, naturally we don't want to go YOLOing in, because again I'm cautious that there may be something else at the back there. But equally I wanted to wait for my team to push up. Now that my team has pushed up, I'm going to move in on this RU-251 that we do take out. Now I'm going to get to the side of this Object 140 whilst keeping an eye on that tank destroyer that is now starting to move into our position. So I didn't want to take a shot off that Object 704 because that would have been nasty. You can see our platoon mate Fades is now moving in on that tank destroyer. We're going to see if we squeeze a shot in there, but unfortunately Standard B just finished him off. And again, this game is kind of just ran away from us. You know, we've not even lost a tank yet, so that's how much of a landslide this game is. And they're not the fun games really, but you know, we put in some decent, well, got some decent assist anyway. While we distract that E6, he then gets shut down by our our platoon mate Fades. Now we're going to move in on this Sturm, try snapping a shot, but unfortunately trying to sort of aim that shot on the move wasn't really going that great. We do get a shot into the Sturm there, along with our platoon mate, and we managed to finish him off. Now I'm going to sort of move ahead. RT's just been spotted. Can I squeeze a shot? I can on the move. This is the beauty. This tank has incredible accuracy on the move. It's very, very good. Like I say, it does make for a very good active light tank. You've got great mobility, and obviously the good accuracy on the move means you can sort of just circle someone and just shred them to death. It's really unique in that way. Now we're just rushing over to try and squeeze out a little bit more damage if possible. We can see a 60 TP here, who we're going to try and squeeze some shots in, and we do. Can we maybe get another one in before he gets taken out? It's quite possible. Gonna line up the kill shot. We do get the kill shot there on the 60 TP, giving us our second kill of the game. There's only one tank left, which is a tank destroyer who Fades has already found, and I imagine is going to start putting some shots in. We thought we had a shot on him there, but he's actually behind a wall, which is unfortunate. So we could have just carried on there, but like I say, we've got a couple of teammates that are surrounding. Fades is dumping a couple of shots into him, and he gets taken out by a friendly FE-4202. And that brings us a victory to that game. So we actually come second in that game. Credit to Fades, he actually pulled out a really decent game there with the M46 pattern. But we get 2.5k damage. We picked up the first class. We picked up a huge chunk of assists as well, which actually 4.8k. So again, probably give credit to Fades for putting in a lot of the work to give us that assist. So yeah, big shout out to him. He had a decent game as well in the pattern. But moving on to the third and final replay, which is on Fisherman's Bay, and obviously we saved the best till last. So Fisherman's Bay, a nice decent map to properly sort of actively scout on, because my initial play is going to be up on this ridge here. And I'll always do this, always do a little spot and run across the middle, going through the base because it's encounter. Now this is the only issue, is obviously you will always encounter an enemy light tank usually coming up this midsection, but basically you see I've already got 5 spots there, and that's why I sort of go up to the middle. It is a bit risky, and you don't want to go YOLO beyond this ridgeline. If you do, it's going to be game over for you. That's not the right play. Even doing this is quite risky, but for us it's all about trying to get as much information as possible, try and light up across, as you can see, so we know how many tanks are going through the town, and also how many tanks are heading over to the one line, because this is the thing with Fisherman's Bay, it's all about the flank gameplay, how you win your flanks, and let's say getting that knowledge on how many tanks are going to be going to each flank will give your team the early knowledge and be able to make hopefully the correct decision on which flank to play, and how many tanks to sort of put towards that flank to possibly get the overmatch and win that side. Because if you can win a flank quickly, you can then start to grab good control of the map. Personally, in my experience, I think winning the one line is the best flank to win. Just because it's the town is a bit of a low ground as such, but for me, Fisherman's Bay, I definitely think, in my opinion, the one line is the most important flank, and also the middle itself. The middle, particularly in the late game, because then you've got control. You've got control of all of the map. I have no idea what happened to my voice there, but yeah, you get control of all of the map, and that's where you can, map control essentially is everything, particularly late gameplay in this game. If you lose map control, you lose the game essentially. So it's very important to sort of know and learn your maps as best as possible, so that you can sort of be strategic in your thinking. So we've essentially, we've lit up 5 tanks at the start. We've got 5 bits of assist, which in total gave us 754. Now, I'm making a bit of a risky play there. I've gone and snapped a shot into this Type 4, mainly just because, it's kind of given us free damage, really, to be honest. But where we were sort of poking was kind of beyond that ridge, where we start exposing ourselves to tanks at the back. You know, the A1 section is notorious for tank destroyers to camp there, and you know, there's potential you can get shots away. But the Type 4 is a one-shot, and I'm not going to waste any time in trying to get rid of that Type 4. It's a dangerous tank. Obviously, being there in the open is going to be proxy spotting a lot of tanks at the back as well, you know, that are down in H1, J1, J2 area. So that's essentially what I want to get rid of, that heavy tank. Now the red team have kind of pulled it back slightly, and it's gone a bit even now. It's 9-8, and you can see this is what the T-54 lightweight is so good at. It's just so agile, nimble. The mobility is so good that you can just move around. You couldn't really do this with the LTTB. I mean, you could, but the problem with the LTTB, as I've mentioned sort of previously in past videos, is it's very top heavy. So, you know, doing that, you essentially have the risk of flipping your tank. Whereas the T-54 lightweight is a little bit lower, and the turret's a bit more central to the tank, so you haven't got too much of a imbalance in shift of weight and you know, sort of flipping your tank over basically. We get a nice shot into that SU-130 there. Unfortunately, we get spotted for it, and I'm just trying to weave backwards and forwards, avoid artillery, avoid tank destroyers shooting at us, and I'm just trying to light up this corner best as I can so that our friendly teammates can sort of help put some damage in. We're also trying to sort of get some shots off ourselves, and we notice the RU-251 there, and I'd love to get rid of that RU-251 because he's going to be an absolute thorn in our side if he's still alive. Get a nice snapshot into the SU-130. Again, we are just dancing around the map to the best we can, just trying to avoid getting shot, but then I run into the boundary and that just slows me down, but I still get very lucky. This is risky gameplay, but high risk, high reward, so it doesn't always work, and this is kind of just active scouting at its safest, if you can kind of say that. This is essentially YOLOing but not YOLOing, if that makes sense. Yeah, we're not throwing our tank actively away, we are just staying on the move best as we can, because I feel like if we stop at any point while we're spotted, we're going to get shut down straight away. And that's all we've done. We've just moved around as quickly as possible to avoid getting shot, to avoid getting shut down by artillery, tank destroyers, whatever that is trying to aim and shoot us. And it's kind of worked so far. We've only taken one shot of damage, and the game is pretty much coming to an end. There's only 3 tanks left. We've got shots into of the artillery here. I'm not entirely sure where the tank destroyer is, but my guess is he's going to be sitting with these guys waiting. He knows the game is up, but he's going to sort of lie in wait like a trapdoor spider and just pounce at the right opportunity. The Object 261 has decided he's going to go YOLOing into our waffle. Not sure why, because that was going to be instant death. And there you go, there you can see the waffle, and we're just trying to back up, and our waffle just gets in the way there. That could have been disastrous if that waffle actually managed to get a shot into us. We're just waiting for the waffle to get distracted by our friendly teammate. They're now getting involved, and we managed to get the final kill shot on the waffle, and there we go. That was an absolute manic game brought to an end. But yeah, that kind of just shows the capabilities of the T-54 lightweight. And we come out of that game pretty unscathed with 4.5k damage, with 2.8k assist, 3 kills, and the ace tanker there. So yeah, that's just a very crazy game, to be honest. But like I say, if you sit still long enough, you'll die in this tank. So it's just not worth the risk. It was just kind of a balance between being manic and not being too manic where you throw your tank away. again, if that makes sense. But anyway, guys, that is it for the T-54 lightweight. Let me know what you thought of the video and what you think of the tank, if you got it. Imagine most people have. If you did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe, because it does help the channel. And as always, guys, I'll catch you next time.